Behemoth, the greatest strike team of the global defense effort. They were efficient, deadly, but most importantly, they were sleepers. A Behemoth member could be anyone. However, there were two exceptions to the rule. Lady Seraphim, the leader of strike team Behemoth, wife of Saint Otto Ludwig Apocalypse the Holy Blade, and anyone working as a recruiter for the group. This included you. You were posing as a simple doctor in Japan. You specialized in quirk evaluations, which meant you were tasked with deciphering a child's quirk using GDE-approved analyzation programs and evaluating the progress the child's quirk would make over the next 10 years of its life. Then run and analyze a personality test, family background, etc. Most of the time you were in the background, giving doctors the necessary documents that would condemn the child into living the rest of its life in a GDE facility if the quirk was too powerful, for both society in general or the risk it posed for the human gene pool. Today, however, you would deliver the documents. A child. A young boy. His test results had been perfect, and may be very useful for Behemoth, especially the loyalty test revealing a full 10 out of 10 points, which was quite extraordinary. Entering the sterile room, you smiled. "Who are you?" asked the child, while the parents just looked at you. They noticed the GDE badge sewn into the shoulder of your white doctor's gown. "Ow, Dad, you're hurting me!" exclaimed the child as the father grabbed his son's hand tightly. Not saying a word, you sat down on the office chair before them. The only thing separating you from two agitated parents and a scared, powerful quirk-using child was a simple wooden desk. Gently you placed down the documents before folding your hands on the table. Your professional smile not changing for 1 second. "Your child is very interesting, Mr. Takamura." "Is he now?" the father said. "I will relieve you of your stress for now and say that your child's quirk has been classified as Code Orange with a low threat level." Both parents immediately relaxed. Code Orange were quirks that were offensive, and the threat level determined whether or not they should be removed or can stay in the wider public. "We have given your child's quirk the name Coat of Arms." You looked at the boy and smiled. "Your quirk is a supernatural quirk, so Code Orange was given. It will give you the ability to infuse small objects with energy, making them unstable and explode. Of course, the object has to be not alive and not be considered too heavy. In other words, you can only infuse objects that you can carry in one hand." Leaning forward a bit after you saw the kid's proud grin, "Normally you wouldn't even have to talk to me, Mr. and Mrs. Takamura, but I'm here on GDE business." You opened your folder and shifted through the papers. "There." You pulled out a form. "The GDE is recommending the approved GDE hero training in one of our facilities. Once your child turns 15, you will be able to send them to it, where they train to become one of the best heroes in Japan." The kid screamed with glee, while quietly you added, "and turn you into the perfect soldier for Behemoth." The dad took the paper. It's a boarding school?" "Precisely. You may be familiar with it. It's called UA." You smirked as they noticed the big letters UA at the top of the paper. Thank the saints the GDE took that place over as soon as they could. Both parents were incredibly excited. You will be able to see your child on weekends. And of course, during holidays. But you tilted your head and smiled. I'm sure you already knew that. The parents were glad you weren't taking their child away, and that you basically just invited their little ball of sunshine to join what they knew to be the best hero school in the Far East, only rivaled by Germany's very own St. Clair's Academy and America's School for the Gifted Quirk Users. The parents soon left after you answered all their questions. With a grin, you desperately tried not to make it look devilish. You look forward to work with the child in the future. Once the conversation was over and you retreated from the dingy office room to the one you called your own, you sat down and began working on the necessary documents to 100% ensure the child would be transferred to UA once they reached the appropriate age. Meanwhile, your husband, the pro-hero Dynamite, Bakugou Katsuki, was lying lazily in your living room. Both of you had been married for about 3 years now. Married at the tender age of 22. Both of you considered each other a lucky catch. You because you were a little older than him, and Bakugou because honestly he had given up on dating after experiencing many blunders due to his personality. The man had finished his patrol early and initially wanted to surprise you. Bakugou never was one for romance, but he did know what romance was. In his imagination, he would just put in the keys to your beautiful apartment just as you stepped out of the elevator. Your eyes would meet, he'd smile, you'd smile. That fantasy of course didn't make him blush, but if he had seen you blush in that situation, it would have made him incredibly happy. But sadly you had documents to fill out and were very late. Lazily he switched through the channels on the TV. The man tried to focus on whatever was on the television, but the fact his little plant in work was bothering him. Angrily he threw the remote and almost shattered it. "You know what? Fuck it," he growled. With heavy footsteps he marched into your kitchen and began cooking. You left your office late at night, yawning. What was it? 10 p.m.? Seriously? You were exhausted. So buried into your work you completely forgot to text your husband an apology for running late. Hopefully he didn't think you were cheating on him. Turning your keys, you entered your apartment. Immediately you were met with a delicious smell. You grinned and walked into your living room. Your first goal was your kitchen and its dinner table. Bakugou was sitting, hands folded neatly under his chin, while a wondrous mountain of food had been piled up before him. He smirked. "Hey, babe." Your eyes met, and you blushed, looking away with a glint of shame. "Baku, why did you do that?" Katsuki rarely cooked for you. He wanted to save his culinary skills for special occasions. Special occasions like you ruining one of his fantasies by simply being too late. Luckily by now he had enough common sense to not instantly blurt that at your face. "Was feeling romantic, I guess." He tilted his head and smirked. "And a little horny." You blushed harder. There was a beautiful array of tapas. Once you sat down on your chair opposite to his, you noticed that your favorite little food servings had just so happened to be placed right before you. The blonde really thought of everything, did he? You took a tapa with croquetas and immediately devoured it. It was perfectly cooked. How your husband managed to do this, you didn't know. "So, babe, how was your day?" he asked between bites. You smiled. "Everything as per usual, but..." You looked at him, focusing especially on his reaction. There was this boy who you would have liked. He raised an eyebrow. His quirk I would consider eerily similar to yours. Proudly, Bakugou slapped his chest. Ha! Really now? Kid has an explosion quirk. I immediately suggested him for UA. Your husband raised an eyebrow. That's awesome. It's really hard to get in there these days. You smirked. I know. You sighed dramatically and stretched, making your bones creak as loud as you could. He smiled. Oh. Then he stood up and walked up next to you, leaning down to be on eye level with you. Are you okay? Bakugou smiled. It had taken him years to realize that this is how he got things he wanted. Being nice. You looked at him and leaned forward a bit to kiss his soft lips. His eyebrows perked up in surprise, but his eyes betrayed him. He was enjoying this. Of course he was. He loved melting into your touch. Your lips separated. What do you want to do now? He asked, expectantly and slightly seductively. You put a hand on your chin. How about a bath? He jumped up and saluted. As you wish. Bakugou was already off to the bathroom. You slowly followed. Hearing him turn on the water, you crossed your arms and leaned against the bath's door frame with a smug grin. Bakugou was already in his underwear. Did I say, we take a bath? He stopped moving for a moment. His hands crackled threateningly, but you weren't afraid at all. After all, your very own quirk, Scorpion's Bite, could easily handle his quirk. Your ability was a mutation giving you small dagger-like spikes that you could extend and retract from your wrists. They contained a powerful quirk-suppressing poison. Honestly, your quirk was one of the reasons he was so well behaved towards you. Why Bakugou of all people liked to be dominated specifically by you? You didn't know, and honestly you didn't care. Maybe you reminded him of someone. Someone that's close to him. Strange. You grinned. Get the fuck out. He sighed in disappointment, but you put a hand on his shoulder as he was about to pass you. Drop those underpants while you wait for me. Got it? And no touch until I get out. He gulped loudly, but then just muttered, Yes, ma'am. You leaned closer to his ear. And just so you take me more serious, you whispered. Just imagine my wet body in that hot, bubbly water. You winked before closing the door behind him. This had just given you at least 30 minutes before he'd get impatient. Slowly you undressed and stepped into the hot water, after putting in some of your lavender bubble bath. You submerged yourself, enjoying the heat that your body was now absorbing. It was like a dream. But just when you were about to fully calm down, you remembered something. Quickly you got up and leaned over the tub's edge, splashing water everywhere, and began fishing for your freshly discarded pants. After some searching, you found what you were looking for, your phone. Setting yourself an alarm for exactly 30 minutes before setting it down on top of your neatly stacked towels. Finally, you could pass out. Your morning alarm woke you up, feeling sore all over. Bakugou must have been really worked up last night. You shut the annoying alarm off. Your husband groaned next to you. "Already morning?" he growled. I mean, if you spend half the night thrusting away like a touch-starved chimpanzee, it can feel like that. He blushed. You sighed and sat up, checking your phone to find a couple new messages. Katsuki crawled up next to you, nudging your shoulder with his head to get your attention. You sighed happily and leaned a little back to let him lie down in your lap. "We could take a sick day." But you were already not listening to him. You tilted your head. While you were asleep, you had gotten a few messages from Director Himekawa himself. The director was in charge of the GD activity in the Far East branch, effectively making him your boss. Your eyes widened in shock, but then you smirked. There has been a containment breach in Site 12. Huh? GD subjects 3002 and a couple less dangerous ones escaped. "So, what now?" You looked down at him and grinned. "Simple. You're going to secure and contain them, and get a large bonus." Bakugou's eyes widened. "Baku baby," you said as you gently combed through his hair. "See how useful it is banging the right person every night?" He blushed. "But I wanna take a lazy day with you." "Catch 3002 and we can have a lazy vacation with the bounty you'd get." His eyes widened. "God, I love having inside information. Do I need to know anything else?" 3002 is a low-level reality warper who can bend metal to his will, so don't have anything metallic on you when you go hunt him down. Bakugou happily got on his feet and saluted you before getting ready to hunt.